Good morning. Merry New Year. Hold on one second here. Let's get set up and then we'll get ready to go. I don't know what the heck happened there. Hold on one second here. I got this new feature, but it seems to suck. Hold on. I don't understand why that didn't work. It's supposed to scroll. Is it a ticker? Or you only let certain ones be tickers now, or? Let's edit scroll bottom ticker. I'm just going to save. And then if I click on you, scroll across bottom ticker, save, and then show. There it goes. All right, good. Yay! We learned to do something. All right, a couple things that I think are of interest. I think the semi-news is probably the biggest thing out there right now. We'll get to it. I do think that, some of it's pretty darn interesting. And I think you could have a good day on it. Let's get to the indexes first. You have a lot of locking yourself in here with the indexes today. So I'll just show you it. Super interesting how tight it is. I can't remember the last time it was like this. Let's clean it all off and I'll just show you it. And then we'll jump right into it. Let me make sure I got the right mic on. Yep. I know a lot of people are going to take today off because of the holiday and everything, but not everyone can be a winner. Not everybody gets a trophy. All right, here we go. 692, and let's watch that right there. And we're gonna clone you here. Look how tight this is. Isn't that crazy? That's your range today. It's kind of nuts, really. So I don't know. I thought that was super interesting today, how tight this is. And I don't think they want the market really to go anywhere. Now, whether it does or doesn't remains to be seen. But you're really locked in here. So I don't know that we're going to be dealing with anything of, consequence here, like at all. I don't think that the market in and of itself is going anywhere today. So probably a really good day to, sell puts and sell calls and do credit spreads. I would imagine that probably does really pretty well today, to say the least. But I would imagine that it would. I don't think you're going to get anywhere else today, but that might make sense. To see what I'm going to see some lows. And then go from there. Good. So that's how I see that. Now, if we go take a look at the Qs, and I'll take questions. We should have time for a lot of it today. When I went and looked at this morning, you have an enormous range here. That 625 is still up here, 626, and you're going to run right into it. So I'm not really sure, where you're going today. I think you have a misplacement of certain things that have the ability to move. I think other things are they're not going to move the same way. I mean, I know this doesn't sound like rocket science, but that's really where my head is. I don't think my ranges need to be moved at all. I think one of the things I could do is suggest that maybe if you got down to 623, maybe you bounce. I don't know that you're just going to blow through another call wall today, but and that really puts you in. Thanks, John. And that really puts you in a really weird, precarious position here, doesn't it? Where, when you look at it, you don't really have a lot of upside room. So I personally think it's going to be a lot of names. And, let's do the NQ, and then I'll get to the news, and then we'll dive into it. So, and if we start over again, so you guys can remember how we got there with this, the number one thing to really focus on here is going to be that peak once again. And all we do is just go here and we just drop a volume profile, which is right here on that peak, because that's like where your biggest pain point was. That's where like all the people are from there, right? And some people would argue that, it's down here, right? And, that could be also like an area that it could be at, but I don't really view it that way because it's more recent. This is where everybody bought, and that seems to be it. You could say it's an area, but this is really, what I'd be focused on, and it's pretty clear that that's been the problem. So we're trying to flip that point of control. We're certainly trying to, and then if we realize that gets you to 26 from up there, and you're battling it. You've been battling it, but you're not breaking down, which is what you want to see. You're actually just riding it up, over, undercut, over, hits. So pretty interesting action that you haven't had and that attempt since December 12th. And now we have it. Take a look at this on the hourly. Look at it. You see how you over, pulls back down. So what would you think? Well, I mean, there's your breakout. There's your retest. So if you look at that whole area and you took that area from here, right, and we just drop it to here, I think it's super interesting how that breakout up is 50% of that move. And then if we took it, okay, that's not what I wanted. Why can't you just give me what I want? I don't know why it's so hard. You start looking at those levels, it gets a lot cleaner, doesn't it? So you can see the half, you pulled back to that 23.6 from the move from the high. You're pretty textbook on your movements. So getting up here again, I don't think is that unrealistic. And I really think that that's, really the levels that you should be looking at, paying attention to today. That's how I say it. But I think it really depends on, what you're looking for. I really do. I don't think that I'd be real careful assuming anything just because of how we acted with the recent moves. But I really do think that I want to get rid of this, I think. Let's just leave it. I'll leave it there. But these would be your bigger areas. And you can see even here that 50% line in that point of control is absolutely huge off that move. So I'm just going to leave that all there just the way it is. Oh, that's the wrong room. Pop that in there. Yay. And and let's go to the ES. And then it's time to, okay, I don't know what you're doing. And you can see the difference here. This is pretty big, actually. So we'll go to the 4-hour again. And then what we'll do is we'll take our pain point, which is obviously that spot again, right here. I love when we can do stuff together. It's like a Christmas miracle, isn't it? And we're going to click it. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. There it is. Yay. So, and everyone can probably see this pattern. You guys probably already saw it, right? Like the left head, right shoulder, like the inverse, it kind of looks like an inverse head and shoulders. And then you'd have to measure from there to the line. You could flip it like in an antimer, and that's going to tell you where the target is once it breaks out, and it's going to break out. It's a question of when. But if we take a look here, we can see that we got over the point of control, and now this area we haven't really been able to break out. Bonk, 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 like 4 or 5 Matumbos. And then you finally hit, pulls back, hits, goes. So when you dive into that, you can really see, here it was, rejection, rejection, rejection. And then if you really dive into this area, you can see it. Look at it. You can see how it's, it's fighting itself, and then bam, and, we're not going to stay up here. Yes, we are. And then that was it. And then it was gone. So, that's a big thing. And I do think that you flipped it, hit it again, couldn't get through it. You could probably come down and test it. But I don't think there's much there, guys. I really don't. I think you're just going to wind up, grinding here. Ooh, pardon me. But I think you just wind up grinding here a little bit. So super tight range this morning. We should probably talk about gold too. Gold's going a lot higher. Yeah, I think that's how you should view it. If we take a look at gold for a second. Yeah, that's a pretty textbook breakout, man. Like that's a pretty textbook breakout. If you were to look at this, let's mark that point for a second. I'll show you where I'm going with this, right? So if you come to this level right here, which is really that breakout, I mean, some people would say come to here, mark the breakout that way. I'm going to come all the way down to this just to show like the range, but I don't want it there. I want it right where it kept closing, which is right there. Right where it closed. All right, cool. So what I did was take all those closes right in here and mark them off as the 0 line. And then here you are, rallies up. And then if you look for the pullback, let's get rid of this and we'll get rid of you for a sec. And we'll get rid of you for a second. And you look at this, at rallies, pulls back, can't break the 50% line from the breakout. Then it just starts holding that 61.8 over and over again. And on my 0 line is all those closes, close, 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 close. They all close at the same area. It's crazy. Can't get over. What do you need? What do you want? Okay. No Merry Christmas, no nothing, huh? Just straight to it. Jesus, what is wrong with you? Some people need some Jesus. All right, so get up, down, over, and then here you go. See it? Look at it. That's a breakout. So again, you don't really have a cup and handle. You just have a straight cup, or call it a mug, or whatever the heck you want to call it, or a tumbler. I don't care what you call it, but that's a breakout. And it's pretty clean. So what you would do from there, from the line, is just mark the percentage. Right, so you take the low of that from the close low, which is right there, and it's about 9.96. Let's call it 10%. So that puts you right around 48.70, something like that, something up here, just on this move. So you probably have another 10% or something coming, is how I say it. So I think that's where it's heading. Silver's just in that universe by itself. If we want to stop it, all I have to do is press the buy button, and I can literally stop the entire silver market. If we get into the news, very quietly, Trump has said no new tariffs on semiconductors. That is why NVDA is up. That is why Micron is up. That is why SanDisk is up. That is why AMD will probably be up, even though it's a pig. So there's some other things I could cover here. SIDU, they did a secondary. Of course, it's oversubscribed, and then people didn't get as much as they wanted. They could have bought as much as they wanted back here, but for some reason, now they want to own it. So I think there's something to that. What else is interesting? I think this opens in a lot of trouble, like a lot. Since they went like OpenAI, we're an AI company now. I think everyone just kind of realized that they just got hoodwinked. And went from there. I don't know. Hold on one second. There's something on this ASTS that came out, and I want to see if I get this right. Yeah, I think that I think there's definitely something, there's something to this where the way that this was pitched, so there's some negative news on it this morning. I don't know if it affects it or not, but the way that this was pitched when it launched versus what they actually have to do in space is like two different things. I actually was long this. And when it happened, I just got out of the way. I did buy some puts this morning or Wednesday, just in case it got down. I'd watch this today. I think this is still going to be in play. Up or down, I think it's going to be a pretty damn active name today. So I'd watch that. And And this one keeps popping up on one of my screens. I don't even know what the heck it is. I don't know what this thing does. Oh, it looks like they have, this is the one people were just talking about in the community. This is the one that had that, I guess they got a new drug approved. They usually do a secondary. If it starts breaking out before the secondary, then people get, super interested. And, just, you want to know when it breaks one way or another. Until then, I really don't care about it. I don't know what else to think about here. Like, I don't really care about this. Like, you should have just bought it before the secondary. Like, that was really the way that these things move. But that's really they're the big things that I want to go over that I can think about this morning. I just don't see how gold doesn't go higher. I really don't. I don't see how gold doesn't go higher. So let's get to it. We'll go through this and go from there. I expect light volume today in a tight range. I do have to go at 9 today. Let's pull this over so we can talk. Yay. SPY W pattern. Bros. You've been on Bros. So I don't really see the reason why I have to rush into it, but it does look like it wants to go. I mean, I'll give you that. I just think you have that range and you're still dealing with it. But it does look like it wants to go, John. As far as the banks, yeah, I mean, Citigroup was just a no-brainer. Citigroup's been a no-brainer for years, honest to God. And it's like people just finally realized it one day. So, but like the base on this thing is enormous. So it looks like it finally broke that decade or multi-decade long base. And since then, you've done nothing but break out. But you've been in a base for like decades. So it makes perfect sense to me that this thing can go a heck of a lot higher. The real edge was buying it when it was trading under book value. It just made no sense to me that this thing traded under book value. I also think that Bank of America can go, but I don't know. I don't know that I need to be buying it up here. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to, it makes sense because you're going to get people that are going to panic buy it. And the banks are moving because they know that rates are coming down pretty big time. And that's why XLF's moving that way. So like, you could play the Morgans of the world and that kind of stuff. And I know that these guys do. To me, it's not really the time where I go out and go crazy on these financials. I'd rather them blow up and then get involved. Because then you just kind of, when they blow up, you just kind of buy them and sit with them. Like if you bought here, you never have to get out of it. If you bought here, you're never really, maybe you're getting out of it because of, you get stopped out, whatever. But it seems to present opportunity where you can just kind of buy these things and just, sit with them. And I do think there's something to that. I do. Like, you're not going out of business. We have larger issues if they do, but so that's kind of how I say it. They're all doing it. So the idea that the market's going to, implode is kind of crazy. I mean, Goldman just went from 430 in April, you're at 910. It's absolutely crazy what this name has done. If you really go back and look at when they went, public back here, like what this thing's done in that period of time, it's absolutely insane. So, I don't think there's much more to say or do about it. What's kind of nuts though, when people don't really understand when they buy this stuff and it's like, oh, it took 10 years and you're still break even, from where you were. Even when you start looking at some of this other stuff, it's kind of nuts from where you were in February to where you are now. But, some of these things are just absolute monsters. So, you got to look at this stuff like two ways. You either have to look at it super long-term or you're along for the next financial, ride. You have to kind of figure out which one that is. I don't know how else to say it. So that's really how I see these names. Kind of go from there. Silver is just a monster, dude. TPR, I've been avoiding. I just avoided ever since that merger, but That was really the time to buy it when they got out of that merger. Since they got out of that thing, it's done nothing but rip, right? So LALB. That's not really I'm not really a fan favorite of that. It doesn't really do it for me, but that can keep going, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like it wants to go anywhere. Like you're still in this range. I mean, you could put you're over, maybe it finally gets it together. You're over the 55, maybe. I don't know. When you have these kinds of charts and they really can't get moving, I'm not saying that it's not going to get moving, but that's what you're dealing with right now. What's up, Tariq? Lemonade. I mean, they make a ton of sense. I don't know that I would chase it, but they made a ton of sense when they came out with, they talked about how AI they were building with it and how it's affecting their business. I don't think you have to go near any of them until we figure out what they're really going to do. I just don't think it makes sense. I like them longer term, but I don't think it makes sense. I think NVIDIA makes a ton of sense. I think it makes a ton of sense with today's news. I don't think people truly understand the news. And I don't think people fully get that he did this on the 26th on purpose. So people can't say he's a flip-flop. Yeah, I mean, the thing about the VIX 13 that's so interesting to me is that people are like, this is really low. And then you kind of go back and say, is it? Because, we were at 8 during his first term. Right? So people forget that. So people forget about, the level of stability that we had back here. So for whatever reason. So I don't know. I think to me, looking at it, when I look at stuff like VIX, and a lot of people will look at these moves. I don't know. I thought this one was kind of hard to really just get super interested in doing, shorting this one. I don't think there was enough meat on the bone. I mean, clearly, if you look from 11 to here, people would be like, yeah, there definitely was. Pardon me. I don't know what's with the yawning today. I remember buying this down here and everyone's screaming at me. This thing's taken forever. Yeah, it's interesting because you should. I'll tell you why I'm pausing, because it's almost like you should be buying the stuff when nobody wants it, right? That's really when you should be buying it, when nobody wants it. And nobody wants that stuff right now. So I think it's a big deal. I really do. So it's definitely on my radar to think about. Do you go out there now and buy, some kind of calls or call spread on the index going into January or into February? I don't know. It's definitely there. It's definitely in my head. Well, I think you're seeing, I would really go and spend some time and look at who's really buying gold, because when I looked into it, it was super interesting. And I think it's really bad for crypto, for the crypto people. So, I don't know. I mean, I think it could be a real problem. So we'll see. This doesn't seem to be able to get it together anytime soon. And I think it will eventually, but I don't know. I think there's more pain coming in it, frankly. You just can't get over anything. And, people are acting like a third is not a big deal, but it's a big deal. You're going to need other buyers. And then the other thing is here, like all these buyers are gone. So, they're done. And so now the question becomes, what are you down? 45%. So the question for them really becomes, when do they become forced sellers? And it's probably just a matter of time before one of them becomes a forced seller. So I don't know. I think you're going to get under 1400 on this. Maybe you see 860 again. I know people will be like, oh, you can't possibly, that could never happen. It's like, bro, it happened 2 years ago. And I think that if you like this stuff, that's when you start looking at it. But yeah, you're definitely going to come in pretty hard here, I think, on this stuff. The ASTS is interesting because I personally thought when this thing went in the air that was it. Like, it's up, they're going to fire it up. And they're like, no, then you start reading it, right? And it's like, no, that's the easy part. I was like, okay. Like, when I finally had time to read it, because I went long it, it just clearly didn't work. And I made some money early with it pre-market, but once it broke the 90 call wall, it just was an absolute disaster. But when I started really looking at it, I can understand why people were like, oh, I thought that this was good and that everything was fine. And then you look into it and you're like, no, now it's got to be assembled in space. You're like, oh, and it could take 3 weeks and then another 2 to fire it up. You're like, oh, well, what could possibly go wrong with this thing having to assemble itself in space? Clearly nothing. So I don't know, man. When I started to look at it that way, I'm like, okay, well, this could be a freaking disaster. Like, one screw doesn't turn, like one thing. And, you've got, a paperweight, $1 billion paperweight floating up there. So you have to think that they probably did 1 billion test runs with this thing. But, some people are concerned because they delayed it. And then they fired it up. Like, they fired this thing was supposed to go on the 15th. And then that's when it got delayed. And then they said, oh, we're going to do it. So I don't know. I think long-term, it's probably going to figure itself out. But I mean, the real money is going to be made when this thing decides to go, when they figure it out. I do think some of these other names I'm not really sure why you're down $1 today on this, or I'm sure there's some reason why people are scared. But like the Rocket Labs makes way more sense to me. I own this. This makes way more sense to me. Like Rocket Labs, when people understand what they're going to pay for SpaceX and they look at Rocket Labs, they're going to buy Rocket Labs and wonder why they don't own this versus SpaceX. That's where my head goes with it. But again, what do I know? Thanks, Sean. What else you got? WDC. Yeah, I think all those names are fine. I think the storage names are fine. It does seem like we're leaning more towards memory. The memory names seem to be moving a little bit better. So that's really been where my focus is. I think NVIDIA is going to probably be at new highs by March is really where my head's going. So, that's where my head is with it. I'm actually surprised the stock's not up a lot more on this news. So it is what it is, but I'm in no hurry to do anything with it now. Just sit with it again. Lamb makes the most sense out of those names. I don't think people truly understand how much their business is NAND. This real, I don't know. Do I really want to own a company that sells used t-shirts? I guess. I mean, it's been a monster, right? You can see how it fought it. And then when it flips it, like that's it. Flips it, goes, flips it, goes. Like, it's not rocket science, is it? So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's way ahead of itself now. For me, the piece guy I own, I mean, personally, I think you can't really go back that far, but personally to me, um, I think the way that they approached the whole Warner Brothers thing was a disaster. When I look back at it, I buy Warner Brothers when it comes back down to like this level. If I get a shot at it again down here, I'm certainly not chasing it. But I mean, when I look back at it, they played so many damn games trying to get it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper instead of just going out there and buying it. Like, they could have very quietly just been buying this thing for like ever and started putting their influence into it and everything else. Now they've got this stupid bidding war, and I don't know who wins off of that. Sometimes the people that win these things don't really benefit because they pay too much for the asset and they have to do too much. So, the thing with Netflix to me is I think that's what's weighing on Netflix. I don't think people want them to do it. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a really complicated thing right now. I tried buying Netflix once, didn't work. DVLT. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, there's so many other things I could be doing with my life except looking at this thing. You know what I mean? What's up, buddy? Merry Christmas. 40% of the companies that are in this are non-profitable. I think that the 15.9% that are in this, I think that they're going to be profitable. I think that there's certain sectors of this that look amazing. This thing's so hard to trade, man. I bought it back here. I left the mark on from when I bought it, and like just up, down, like it's just such a monster, to stay in this thing. But once you catch it, if you catch it right, man, it's crazy. That's when you flip the 55 back here, in June. And since then, what's it done? Just absolutely ripped. Nothing. Now look at where you are. So, BD, I've just been shorting this. It's just such an easy trade. But, as long as you stay below, you see back here in May when it broke. I mean, you shorted this thing in May from when it broke these levels. You're shorting at 90. It's at 19. Like, you're killing it. So, as long as you're not getting above that, I think you're fine. I think the biotech space is pretty easy here. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon from Miami. I think it's really that people, like even like myself, did not truly understand that this thing has got to assemble itself in space. Like, I didn't have a clue. I thought it was like, a Bond villain, like it just goes in the air and that's it. And then, they turn on the laser and then everything works. That's not the case at all. I guess you got to put it together with computers on the ground. I don't know. It sounds like an absolute disaster. The more I read about it, I'm like, oh, what could go wrong? And I'm sure that they have run multiple simulations on this before they spend, $1 billion or whatever the heck they spent to do it. And I'm sure it'll be fine, but it certainly wasn't the thing that we all thought it was. I'll leave it at that. But I'm sure when they fire that sucker up and it works, everyone's going to be doing cartwheels. Hello from Japan. I don't know. I don't know about Malaysia. I know people that like moved there and freaking love it. Like, love it. I don't know. I don't think I'd be rushing into that. I think the one that I liked the most was Italy. Italy makes a lot of sense to me. I actually think I read a really cool paper this weekend or this yesterday. I actually think the EU's got a really good chance of going away. Have you seen how much gold they're buying? It's absolutely insane how much gold they're buying. Poland. Hi, Lisa. Call walls and put walls. I don't know. I wouldn't touch FDX. I really wouldn't touch it. I get the whole. I find it an incredibly difficult stock to trade. I read the report. I thought the report was good. Then they gapped the thing down $20, and then I read why they're gapping it down, and it starts to make so much sense why they're gapping it down. And then after they gap it down, like, this is what we're dealing with. So I find it very, very difficult. Very difficult to trade that name. So I tend to avoid it. I'd like to find out why this is going to bid down this morning. I don't mind this bidding down. I got puts, so I'll probably get out of them in the morning, I think. I don't know. It depends how much I bid down. Maybe I'll hold them for a little bit. We'll see. Figure it out. It's going to be super thin day, bro. Super thin. They'll get bought out. They have multiple offers. Go read that. They have multiple offers. What's up, pal? Huh? Call me pal. Palladium? I don't know. I have no idea why Palladium's up. Do we need it to build lasers? Lasers. I have no idea why Palladium's up. Oh, didn't it get put on the list today? I think I read an article on that early this morning. It got put on the list, right? Oh my God. I'm dragging. Give me a minute. I'm gonna get some more caffeine. I think it got put on the list, right? I think it got put on the critical minerals list. Wasn't that it? Hold on. I have to find the article. I don't see it when I search my news services. I have to find the article. I think it got added to the list today of critical minerals. I'd have to confirm that. Copper looks amazing. I don't know. I think they're normal. I don't think I did anything to them. I have another charting service. I'm actually thinking of creating a charting service. I was screwing around with that this weekend. Doesn't really seem that hard. I'm pretty sure they're standard, dude. I don't think I changed them on this. Row size 150, value area volume is 70. Numbers or rows. So that's what I got. So I think that's pretty standard. I could be wrong, but I think it's pretty standard. Yeah, that's a FCX. And, I think that this is just, when I miss crap like this, I have nightmares over it. Like, this was so easy. And this actually probably grinds higher. Copper does too. A lot of people did, Aaron. My sense of it is that a lot can go wrong. A lot. Like when I started to look into it, because I mean, that was my single worst trade on Wednesday, was it? Like, I'll just show you. I mean, it was pretty textbook stuff where, when you get these dark cloud covers like this, you really should start looking at those. And like, once you see them, you got to get out of the way. Like, I'll do a video on it. Anyway, once we broke that 90 call wall, I trimmed, but I tried like 2 or 3 times to go long. And then I held the long piece in here. I'm like, oh, it'll catch eventually because this is really good news. They're just flushing out. So I'm like, all right, I'll just stay with it. And then the more I looked into it, I'm like, oh man, this thing's got, it's still got to assemble itself. I think it's great. I think I missed that. And the video's going a lot higher, like a lot higher. I don't know what it does today, but it's going a lot higher. Thanks, buddy. Is that what they're doing? They're restricting them. So yeah, I think that you're going to see a lot of crap like that. I think more's coming. I like LEU. I do. I like the name. I think if you had to buy one of these, that's the one to buy. I don't know that you need to get involved like right now, but I think that's definitely the one you have to get with. Yeah, I think it's something to do with the white. It's like the white metals are going on a critical list, right? I think that's it. Space lasers. DJT. I mean, if you have the ability to stay short it, I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, I think they do $4 million in revenue, something like that, something stupid. But hi, Catherine. I don't know here. I really don't know. I don't know enough about it to talk intelligently about it. The chart doesn't look like anything that I would want to get involved with. I went over STX earlier. I don't know what this is. I have no idea. What is this? I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about these names, guys. Like, if I don't know anything about the name, I'm just looking at a chart. The Reddit makes a lot of sense to me, actually. And it really held in there. So, like, if I don't know anything about a name, I could just tell you what it looks like technically. But I think Reddit makes a lot of sense. I think that what they did when they said to OpenAI, stop taking our information, was probably one of the dumbest moves in tech history. But, when you start really looking at how this stuff is going, man, that breakout, and then you just ripped, dude. You just freaking exploded. So, yeah, I really do like the name. I do like it. I don't know if I like it enough up here. Yeah, I mean, it's just pointless. I don't know anything about it. Like, I really don't. I wish I did. I know the CEO is always there. I mean, I know you hit the 55 and you rejected, but I don't know the story here. So I got to jump, guys. I'm late. Trade to win. Enjoy your holiday.